of the first section of Beginner's Guide to Community-Based Arts. The textbook that we're going to be using for the semester is based off of the acronym CRAFT. CRAFT represents the 5 steps that you take as either an artist or an organization or a potential collaborator with a community member. So first we make contact, which is C of CRAFT. Contact is the first of 5 areas of the community-based arts processes. This is how we make contact with future members of the community, potential collaborators. How do you find an organization to work with or for? Then later on we'll talk about research, R. A, action, F is feedback, and T is teaching. And CRAFT is the 5 steps that you will take when you create your own capstone project. So we're going to go over contact first. So contact will be your first step when collaborating with a community partner or starting your own nonprofit organization. So how do we make contact? You don't just go up to an organization, an unknown organization, and request to volunteer or work for them. Typically, they want to see that you've become part of the community. You're already interested in their workshops. Maybe you've worked on a project, maybe you've been at an event, but they want to see that you are part of that community. So it is important to take that first step to get to know the community member that you might volunteer for. So how do you choose? Choose an organization that represents you. Who's your community? Whether that be geographic, online, social, you share interests. But you should have some connection with the community member or organization that you're choosing. Do not choose organizations you have little understanding or contact with. You might be genuinely interested in, let's say, Chris Adaki's organization with well-being and dance that we talk about in Beginner's Guide to Community Arts, but maybe you have no access to that community. You have no experience with that community, and you're not part of that community's membership. So that's really important. You should have some connection to these organizations that you're interested in working with or for. So when you've chosen an organization, you'll need to ask yourself the following questions. Who is affected by the problem that they are addressing, and how are they affected, right? So we can go back to Chris Adaki in Contact. They were the members of his society, his community were physically and mentally not doing well health-wise, right? They were young people who were not as healthy as they could have been, and they were part of his community. So the first chapter talks about who they are and how the problems affect them, and then who gains from the situation that it is now, right? Like, who loses and gains from these health problems, who actually sees this problem. So Chris Adaki saw the problem, but many may not have seen the problem at all because they were not part of that community. Who is doing something about the problem, and what are they doing? So some of the interests you may have, other people might already be dealing with this problem. So part of contact is understanding all of the complexities that are involved in that problem. The people who are part of the problem, people that are part of the solution, other organizations that are already working towards that solution. You need to know the complexity of the entire story, okay? You want to have a complete picture painted. There's 3 core competencies needed for engaging with a community partner or organization. Number 1 is framing the idea, framing the story. A community can define opportunity and issues in ways that lead to effective action. Through framing, a group understands and decides what needs to be done and how it's to be done and why it's important. That's really important. You guys need to know the how, what, and why, okay? You don't just randomly choose a project or a community partner. You should ask yourself what needs to be done, how, and why. Why is it even important? And why it's important should be more than just your interest. It should be greater than that. In Contact, we'll be asking you to frame or use effective storytelling to succinctly capture that organization's central mission and passion. So when you choose an organization, one of the first things we're going to do is ask you to kind of summarize what their passion is, what their mission is, and what's their central aim, right? And we want it succinctly and easily understood and expressed. So we'll be doing that in these sort of graphic novel manners. So finding or creating images that captures that story, that's a framing device. And that's important not just so that you understand, but you're effectively communicating with others about what this story is and what the passion is and what the aim of your organization is. Number 2 of your 3 competencies is building social capital. This is trust, okay? Once again, part of the trust is that you've already reached out to become part of this community, or you are already part of this community in some way. This means developing and maintaining relationships that allow people to work together. In the process, they share resources, address opportunities and issues. So by engaging with your partner or art organization, you start taking on some of the responsibility of that organization. To become a member is to be part of something, and that is trust. But if you walk into an organization that you have no interaction with, there's no trust. So that's where part of my ask at the end of this PowerPoint will be to you to go into the organization you're interested in, quite literally make an attempt for interaction. The third of your 3 competencies for a healthy community art organization is mobilizing your resources, okay? This involves organizing and engaging a critical mass to take action to achieve specific outcomes. Gaining critical mass, getting enough people, financial resources, votes, organization to make a project a reality. So once again, this is part of you becoming a member of this community and taking part in their projects. That is going to help mobilize resources, okay? You might not even know what the resources you have until you interact with your community member or organization. So in Contact, I'm asking you to make contact, okay? Register for an online event with your potential organization. Attend an online workshop with your potential art organization, or interact with online content. So make contact. If you're interested in Inside Out Studio, go to their website, seek out their virtual workshops, their virtual online content. Any way that you can interact with your organization in a meaningful way, you'll work on those 3 competencies. You'll build trust, right? You'll mobilize resources, and you'll be able to start framing what that organization's passions and ideas are. Okay? Okay, good luck.